Hey guys, Shotcup here, and today I'd like to talk about auto trading. Now this is going to be a much more in-depth video, so stick around if you want to find out all that information. It's probably going to be long. I'm going to throw that out there as a warning. I did cover briefly auto traders and auto miners in another video. It was about a 5-minute video. Got a lot of questions in the comments on that video, so I wanted to make a couple videos going much more in-depth in these two subjects, so this is sort of the first one. So to talk about traders in general and auto traders, we really need to talk about ships and wares. So wares, I kind of break these down mentally. There's no official sort of categorization for these, but mentally I kind of break these down into 3 types of wares. You've got your sort of base wares, your intermediate wares, and your more advanced wares. And these tend to correlate pretty nicely with how much storage space they take up. So your basic wares are things like energy cells, food, and some other minor components like minerals and gases. We will be talking about mining in another video, more in depth, kind of like this one. So I'm not going to touch too much on the minerals and the gases, but yeah, your food wares, your energy cell stuff, your space illegals, your your space whiskey, your space pot, and what I assume is basically your space cocaine and your Maja dust. So those are kind of your lightweight, simple wares. Your intermediate wares are things like components, missile components, antimatter converters, your shield components, refined metals, etc., etc. And then your more advanced wares are things like your turret, your weapon components, your hull parts, your engine parts, scanning areas, plasma conductors, etc., etc. So now that we've talked a little bit about wares, I want to talk about ships. And this is, I think, where it becomes kind of important what kind of ships you assign to your traders. So generally, I will use smaller ships for smaller wares, and larger ships for, the heavier wares. So we're going to go ahead and set up a few traders. We're going to set up a small ship trader and a medium ship trader for now. We might set up a large ship, but I'm probably going to skip that for a minute, so we'll talk about that instead. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about ships. So we're going to go ahead and talk about ships a little bit. I want to talk about small ships first. Now, small ships, if you're going to pick out a small ship for a trader, what you really want to look for is storage space. A lot of the small ships are, small fighters and whatnot. They have some pretty dismal storage space. So as far as small ships go, you want to be looking at a couple of different types. Now, for the Paranid, they've got the Tethys. For the Teladi, they've got the Magpie, and for the Argon, they have the Courier. These ships have pretty good ratios of weight and speed. So I personally don't think that there's a significant difference between these 3 ships in terms of what is better. That is entirely objective. I like a nice balance of speed and carrying capacity, so I would like to go ahead and build a Paranid Tethys because I like these ships, I like the way they look, and I like the sort of speed versus weight ratio that they have. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to load out a Tethys. Now, as far as your build out, you don't have to go crazy, you can just use the minimum build out. That's fine. Personally, I like to kind of just up their speed. In this particular case, we're just going to switch out some of these basic engines and thrusters because it's just going to help us with this particular thing. So there's really not a big difference between these. I don't give a crap about pitch. So I'm going to look at money here. So this one's cheaper, and that's fine. Shield generator. I'm actually going to pack on the shield generators because since 1.3 came out, there's been a lot of Xenon and Kaak activity going on in at least my game. So we're going to equip that stuff. We're going to equip some basic lasers just in case. And as far as software goes, I'm just going to hit a normal docking computer. I want a long-range scanner and a police scanner just because of radar ranges. Targeting software we'll throw on there because we have lasers. We're going to go ahead and save this loadout. Oh, crew. Got to do crew. Consumables, I'm not going to load it up. I'm probably going to load it up with some countermeasures here. The one it can take. Everything else, not worried about it. I've got a recon guy taking care of satellite deployments, and my personal ship, etc. So that, not worried about any of that. What I am going to do with this particular ship, so I'm going to set it up as kind of a training ship. So right now, good pilots are hard to come by. Again, with 1.3, they patched it so you can't get onto capital ships and hire halfway decent staff. So that kind of blows. So finding good pilots in stations is pretty much impossible, because they're all, at least of what I've found, they are like all level 1. They're terrible. Not even level 1, they're like level 0s. So I'm actually going to load this guy up with service crew. It's going to fill in a pilot. That service crew, as the ship flies around, is going to gain experience, and then I can use those pilots in later trading ships or other, miners, stuff like that. So I'm actually going to just use this particular ship as a start-off sort of training ship slash sort of food courier. I'm going to add all this, we're going to build it, and we'll be back when it's built someday, when these get filled. So we might actually go to a different shipyard and do the same thing, but yeah. Alright, so our Tethys finished building, and we actually got pretty lucky. We got a 2-star captain that was assigned to it, so that's great. So what we're going to do, because this is a small ship, is we're going to have it, deal in primarily small wares. So, like I said before, the lightest wares that are out there are primarily the food and illegal space drugs. So we're actually going to go ahead and set this guy up to do just that. So what I'd probably like to do is start it somewhere kind of like really in this area. So we've got quite a few stations right around here. We've got access to some piratey stuff. So yeah, we're gonna head over. We're gonna have them start over here. We're just gonna have them fly right over here. In the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and do an auto trade galaxy. It doesn't have a high enough level yet to do that as its default behavior. It doesn't really matter. So we're gonna go ahead and click auto trade here. I'm just gonna click off basically everything that's not food or space drugs. So I'm gonna click off these, and then it's gonna go away and annoy me. Excellent. So you don't want them dealing in any of these heavy stuff, because it's kind of pointless for this particular ship to deal in anything particularly heavy, because it's only going to be able to deliver, a few of these things at a time. So the benefit to that is that it's going to be a very fast ship. It's going to be able to do a lot of trades within a short amount of time. And what's good about that is it's going to also raise that pilot level, because it's going to be doing more transactions in less time. So this is a very good way to train. If you have a 0-star pilot, it's a very good way to train those pilots. If you throw some crew on board and set them up as service crew, it's going to train those as well. So this guy is set up. So he's going to fly over here, and then he's going to start his trading. He's going to trade within 10 sectors of this area, which should give him plenty to do. And will also raise my faction standing with Argon Prime. So that's another thing. If you're setting up traders and you want to raise your standing with any particular faction, it's a good way to do it. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit about medium-sized traders. So I'm going to go back over here to our wharf that we ordered the Tethys from. Again, it doesn't matter specifically what kind of medium-sized trader you choose. That's going to largely depend on what your goals are for that particular trader. There's traders that have larger cargo capacities and traders that have better speed, and it's usually a kind of balance between those two. Again, like the smaller ship, I prefer, a high capacity and speed ratio in general. So I'm going to build a Hermes Vanguard right here, transporter. And I already do have a loadout saved for these guys, so I'm actually just going to talk about this loadout. Cheaping out on the engines and the thrusters. Right now, I don't feel the need to have faster ones. You can certainly upgrade that. Again, it's only going to help you. Shield generators. Again, with the Xenon and the Ka'ak and the pirates running around, I'm going to put on, high-level shields on all of these kind of ships that I'm building. Turrets. Actually, I'm going to switch over to the beam turret, because those are just simply doing better right now. They have done a little bit of work on the turrets, but they're not fantastic. Software, same kind of thing. Dock computer, long range scanner, police scanner, targeting computer trading theater. Nothing fancy there. Consumables, again, I'm not going to buy any of these consumables. You can if you want. If you want to, you know, have it plop down a satellite here and there, that's entirely up to you. Crew, again, we're going to put some service crew on that so that those guys can get trained up as they do, and we're going to just add it to the shopping list. I'm actually going to cancel this order because I already have one built. Ooh, we got really lucky on this one. So our captain actually has 3 stars, so we can talk a little bit about general trading. Again, over in this behavior tag, I'm actually going to use the default behavior. I'm going to set that up to be auto trade. So we're going to go down here to the set default behavior, and I want the default behavior for this particular ship to be auto trade. The only benefit of doing this over your right click auto trade is whenever, let's say you have to send your ship off and do some manual trade runs, when it's done with those, it's going to go straight back to auto trading. You don't have to do anything else. It's kind of just makes it a little bit easier. Again, it does the same exact stuff as the normal auto trade. So this particular one, we're going to set up with some of the components and things that typically these shipyards and whatnot need, because they're always needing them, like constantly. So it's actually a pretty lucrative trading area. All of these things, automatic converters, not cells. I'm gonna go with drone components. We're always lacking engine and hull parts. We're gonna do missile components, we're gonna do shield components, superfluid coolant, and that's probably gonna be it. So that's fine, we're gonna crank up that distance on both of them, because I just want it to fly around and do whatever. So we're just gonna hit confirm, and it's gonna go off and do its business and make money. Alright, so let's talk about large ships. Most of your fleet should probably not be large ships unless you're doing a lot of large cargo movement, simply because they're not going to be able to utilize all of their cargo space, and you're going to end up with low profit runs trying to pay off a very expensive ship. So, especially in the beginning of the game, when a lot of the stations aren't, you know, really sort of dug in, the economy's kind of flimsy, my recommendation is to simply stay away from large ships. You don't really need them. But as your game develops, and as you move on, and as you build stations and need more parts and have large storage capacities and etc., you might want to move to either adding a few large ships to your trading fleet or solely switching over parts of your trading fleet. My game is actually relatively young, but again, we're having like severe hull parts and engine parts shortages, and it's just, you have to do like 40 freaking medium-sized ship trade runs to get any of that done. So we're going to go ahead and build a large ship to do just that. So we're over here at the Parentage shipyard now. I'm going to hit buy ships. We're going to start a new loadout for one of these guys. There's not usually stuff in the XL. I don't think there are any XL freighters, but we're gonna go with the Selene Vanguard, just because A, it just looks cool, and B, it's pretty quick. It's got fairly large cargo capacity, and you know, that's what we're looking at. So we're gonna go ahead and probably just go with we'll go with the all-around engine. Let's see. We'll do the all-around thrusters, and we'll do the max shields. For turrets, we're gonna stick with the beam turrets. Software, same kind of thing. Doing the same thing. Long-range scanner, police scanner, targeting system, trading system. Consumables, again, I don't care about these. I'm gonna do some countermeasures. Just cause. Crew. Need a captain. It's mandatory. Again, it's service crew. You know what? We're not going to do any service crew on this guy. I'm going to save this loadout. And add these all to the shopping list. And we're going to wait for this guy to be done. And we're going to set him up very similarly to how we set up that medium ship. Because again, my economy is pretty bad on the hull parts and stuff, but we're going to set up this guy to do some other, you know, high capacity, high volume wear runs as well. So I'm going to hit confirm order, and we'll be back when that is done building. It's going to take 5 minutes. Alright, so our Selene is done being built. We've actually got a 3-star pilot here, so we're going to set this up very similarly to how we just set up that medium trader. So I'm going to go over here, again, the default behavior, and you can do a right click if your palette isn't good enough. um, and we're going to go ahead and set this up with the heaviest components, the heaviest wares in the game. So starting from the heaviest and working our way down, we're going to start with scanning areas. And we're going to add plasma conductors, if I can see them, they're there. We're going to add advanced composites, smart chips, engine parts, drone components, advanced electronics, hull parts, claytronics, which are typically used for building stations. We're going to add quantum tubes, and we're going to add microchips. We're going to stop right there. Microchips take up 22 units of cargo space. The scanning areas take up 38, so that should give a pretty good spread for this guy. Again, we're going to just have him trade everywhere, as far as he can, just because I'm not particularly interested in manipulating any specific economies at this particular moment. So that pretty much covers ships and wares. So I want to talk a bit about the trader AI and how it works. It's actually a little bit backwards. The way the traders actually look for things to do is they first look at their storage space, and then they look at the wares that you've assigned them. And then it's going to basically look for sell orders and then buy orders. So basically, we've got a trader started in, let's use one of our guys as an example. So we've got this guy, he's been started in, I think we started him in Trinity Sanctum here. So he basically looks through his list of wares and looks at any sell offers within his range, which currently is probably only maybe 6 sectors. Oh, okay, he's got 18 sectors, which isn't bad at all. So he's going to look within an 18 sector range for some sell offers within this list that he's got. Basically, it's going to compile, and this gets a little bit into scripty, nerdy stuff, but basically it's going to compile an array of the stations that are looking for those wares. Then it's going to filter again through that array and find the stations that need the most wares to fill up its cargo bay. And then it's going to go buy the wares from stations with the best selling prices in that area and go and sell them to that station it found initially. Sometimes you'll see, your trader might be utilizing, 5-10% of its cargo bay. The only reason it's doing that is because it didn't find a trade that was better. Basically, if it runs through that AI and it fails, it doesn't find a trade that matches, it's going to relax its rules. And the way it relaxes those rules is it starts sacrificing cargo bay. And we're getting attacked by pirates. So we'll be back when we get done killing pirates. Okay, now that that's taken care of. So, it will also take into account your pilot range. So I want to talk a little bit about pilot skill. There's not a whole lot known about exactly what all of these things do, but in terms of trading, the major thing is your overall pilot level. That level will increase the range of your traders. So let's see if we can find a very low range level trader here. So this guy is a level 1 trader. Now level 0 only has a 2-sector range, so it is important to start if you are using level 0 pilot in a section that has a lot of stations. And that's going to vary on your game because most of the stations are sort of dynamically created. But level 1, let's see what he has for a range here. Level 1 gives you 6 sectors. As we just saw, level 3 gives you 18 sectors, and it's just going to go up from there. As your pilot level increases, you're going to gain more sectors. That pilot's going to have more options during its trade runs, and it's going to make essentially more profit per run. But it's going to fly further, probably, to get that profit. So it might actually take more time to gain the same amount of profit as if you are focusing only on a small region of the map. But again, that will depend largely on what kind of wares you're looking to trade. But we're coming to kind of the end here, so I want to talk lastly about the couple of commands. Now we set up an auto trader with the default command set to auto trade. But if you were to take a trader and right click on the map somewhere, you've got a couple options. You have auto trade in, which is a sector only thing, auto trade galaxy, import wares to, and export wares from. So auto trade galaxy is going to work again. Basically, it's going to automatically set all your wares. If you haven't set that up or changed it, it's going to set it so it's going to trade all of the wares. and it's going to trade as far as it possibly can based on the pilot's level. Now if you do auto trade in, that's going to trade only in that sector. So it's going to take products and sell them within only that sector. And it's basically the same thing as going in here and adjusting these down to 0. That's all that's doing. Import in is going to only import wares into that sector. So it is the same as basically setting your max gate distance to buy all the way up and maxed gate distance to sell all the way down. So that's exactly what that does. It just does it for you. You don't have to set that. Export from is exactly the opposite. So it's like setting this slider way down here and this slider way up here. So those are the commands. They're very, very straightforward once you sort of understand what's going on and how that actually affects your auto trade settings here. Again, you can adjust all of that right here, and you can sort of tailor it to one sector or region in space or whatever you would like. And that pretty much covers it for auto traders. If there's anything you guys want to know, if there's any more detail you want to go into, I can certainly look into it. If you have any other questions about the game, feel free to ask. We'll be putting out probably a much shorter video on auto mining because it's very, very similar to auto trading, but there are some specific things that I do want to cover. If you liked the video, if it helped you out at all, hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. Thank you for watching.